Your phone screen is so bright.
Oh, I can't see it otherwise.
Well, I saw like you keep it on like 50%. I kept my S9 on like 20%. Hey guys, Alex and Dan from 7th Hour Films back again with a Doctor Who classic. Last time around we had 4 to Doomsday. What was that one about?
Well, the TARDIS landed on a spaceship carrying a couple of green people. The Monarch and Ministers of Persuasion and
Enlightenment.
Anyway, they had apparently visited Earth many times before and had picked up people, but they were on their way to Earth because something had happened to their planet and they were going to take over our planet. But there were a lot of inconsistencies. The guy from ancient Greece turned out to be...
Well, pretty much everyone there was an android.
Yeah.
Because they had... The Monarch had figured out that is, I guess, the next stage in evolution is to get rid of the flesh time, as he called it. And so everyone there... That's why they're also just, thousands of years old, is they're all androids. Except, ironically, for Monarch himself, because he was still, at least partly, organic, and that's how the Doctor was able to defeat him at the end. But his whole thing was he was trying to crack going faster than the speed of light, because he wanted to go back in time to before the Big Bang, where he thought he would meet the creator, and he thought it would be himself. So,
okay,
yeah. So it was an interesting one. It was a mystery. So, and today's the day. It literally it took me a while today to remember oh crap, it's Kinda Day, isn't it? Sure enough, it's time for Kinda,
the rewatch.
We watched this about 4 years ago now. This was our introduction to the 5th Doctor, and what an awful introduction it was.
I don't know who scheduled that for you, but I seriously don't understand it.
Honestly, 4 to Doomsday would have been a better introduction.
Yeah.
That was a solid episode, honestly. So yeah. I don't fully remember everything about this episode. I think there was... looking back on it, there was probably something about, colonialism, because they had, the native Kinda tribe there.
And my understanding from going back and looking briefly at some of the comments the last time we watched it, there's supposed to be a whole lot of religious imagery in this, and I can't remember if it's Hindu or Buddhist, but also some Christian stuff, which we apparently missed entirely the first time around. Now, again, I'm not... even though I've taught history and taught the beginnings of Buddhism and Hinduism, I'm not up to date on, any modern, or, even I guess that's 40 years ago now, and any kind of modern interpretations of Buddhism or Hinduism. And I missed it all. Just missed absolutely all of it. And as such, the entire 4-episode arc here, I was just going, I don't get it. Yeah, I understand the colonial thing. That made sense. Doctor Who is famous for taking different takes on colonialism, up to and including that one where we said we thought it was an American colonialism.
Yeah.
But, I'm hoping this time through, it's not that we have better context, but people have tried to explain what it was, and I read the explanations and I go, I still don't think I'm going to get it.
Yeah. And also, too, just the fact that we're now sort of acclimated to this style of Doctor Who episode, which is overly long, overly slowly paced, drawn out. It means something kind of episodes. So we're a bit more acclimated to that. Granted, the most recent one of those we did not like whatsoever, but we are willing to give this a new chance. We're going in again, mostly completely fresh. I don't really remember much of what happens, other than there's a giant snake and no Nyssa for this episode. Other than that, I don't really remember what's going to happen, but I'm curious. We're willing to try again. But what I am slightly worried about is we're going to get to the end of part 4 and be like, that's exactly the same as we thought last time. So we'll have to see. You got anything else?
Well, I'm looking here that said that this aired in January and early February of 1982. That is essentially the first time I ever worked with your mother. I was working at the Oklahoma Theater Center. I had seen her audition the previous fall, and went down and met her in the lobby after her audition. Said, "Hey, listen, I'm doing a show in the spring. I'd like you to come audition for me." I had written a script for Sleeping Beauty, and asked her to come in and read for the Queen, not for Maleficent. She played that role much later for me, but the Sleeping Beauty's mother, Princess Rose's mother. And even though she was like 28 at the time and had no children of her own, she was wonderful in that show, and I kept casting her, and must have worked with her for about 4 or 5 years before we started dating, and then about a year after we started dating, we got married.
Yeah. So that's an update for the wiki that doesn't exist of Dad detailing his entire life. So, and if nobody else minds, you can just slightly see it. I'm running updates on my new phone, so we're not recording. For those of you keeping up with this part of the lore, 2 episodes ago when we had that whole technical difficulties intro, we were doing that on the webcam. We are no longer using that phone. We're using his phone instead. So it's not like he's going to need it while we're recording.
And I rarely ever use it anyway.
Yeah, so we're doing that. It's a temporary thing. I'm looking into different things. I thought I might just get myself just a dedicated camera, but getting a full dedicated camera just to record these silly little Doctor Who and anime reactions on is a little bit much. So I'm working on, like, maybe I can get a really good webcam, better than the one that I had for that technical difficulties intro. So
speaking of recording all this stuff, I just happened to scroll back through the playlist of Doctor Who classics, and I noticed that we tend to, and of course I don't look at them again usually for weeks or even months after we first air them, but we're literally drawing between 1,000 and 1,500 views on almost all of these, and I'm rather surprised by that.
Yeah, so it's the most consistent of the shows here on the channel, so that means go watch all the other shows we're doing.
But keep watching this one.
Yeah, and also this one. So, and I know there are people there that'll be like, well, I don't watch Demon Slayer or JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Well, go do that, and then come back and watch these. Anyway, so, but anyway, yes, there are consistently good views on these reactions, which is strange because we piss people off all the time. So, but I don't know. I guess it's like, I'm sure, it's not people just hate watching our reactions and stuff. And a lot of times we do have very positive stuff. I mean, last episode was a very positive reaction. So I don't know, but that is just kind of funny that it's like, it's always my sort of algorithm brain that it's like, oh, we had really, hot takes on this, episode. And it's like, so we're going to get a lot of comments. Like, good, because every time you write a new comment, you'll have to come back and do a new view on there, and the new comment will help with the algorithm, and it'll all work out and it'll all be perfect. So that's the other side of, it's just now up to me to not look at those comments so that it doesn't affect me. So, anywho, we can't delay it any longer. Let's go ahead and jump right back into Kinda. Here we go. Take the gun away before you spook him.
What's the matter, boy? Bad dreams, eh? Look, just a joke, that's all.
That's the sonic screwdriver.
Well done, Edric. It's functioning as a delta waveform generator.
What if we need it?
Why should we need it?
Now in context, used it like 1,000 times last episode. You might need it.
But Kinder pose no threat whatsoever to the security of this expedition. They are culturally non-hostile.
There you are.
Of course, from their point of view, we might pose a threat to them.
How do you mean? What point of view could they have? They're savages.
There is the matter of the hostages we've taken.
Standard procedure.
Yeah,
Our
that could piss
procedure,
people off.
Not theirs.
When you're a couple of dozen parsecs off home world, can be a dangerous feeling to have. I think so. Don't you?
Still leaves us with the question, where is Roberts?
It does.
And the others?
I know, yes.
There are now only 3 of us left.
I can count.
Well,
He's like a British version of J. Jonah Jameson. I know this is a British show, but he's really British.
Yes.
I'll tell you something.
He's the very model of a modern Major General.
It was all too easy around here.
And yet, whoever built this must have a musical sense, not unlike, but entirely unlike
3 blind mice.
our own.
Very Polynesian Pacific Islander looking costumes.
I'm delighted to meet you.
Stay where you are.
Intentions unknown, hypothesis unfriendly, as K9 would say.
Where's Roberts?
I miss K9.
Was Roberts?
Answer the question!
See, at least now I'm like braced for it.
There's something.
If we were watching this for the first time now, it'd just be,
I've never seen a planet like
ugh.
Look.
have an apple.
I thought the native produce was forbidden.
I'm a scientist. I do not feel bound by Hindle's stupid precautions. Beautiful, isn't it?
Yes.
You heard Sanders.
What?
Paradise, he called it.
All right, I got that one. Paradise, woman eating the apple.
Oh yeah.
Because we're the same.
It's what?
Each other.
Man, poor Tegan. She never gets anything easy in these episodes.
The manual strictly forbids.
Does it really?
An apple a day keeps the, No, never mind.
If the Kindle are so clever, how is it they didn't build their own interplanetary vehicle and come and colonize us?
I don't quite see what
The
that is.
point is, they're just a bunch of ignorant savages.
Mr. Sanders, are you going in that machine?
The total
mean-
survival suit, yes, of course, why?
Well, I was
So
just
were
thinking,
humans
that machine has malfunctioned.
10,000 years ago or so.
Yes, that's what this situation needs. Good down-the-line practical thought, that's all. Yes, yes, I think you've hit it right on the nail.
And good job, Adric.
You stay here.
I'm quite concerned about my friend Tegan.
Well, I'll keep an eye out for her.
That may not be enough.
I really think you should think twice about leaving Hindle in command.
I never think twice about anything. Wastes too much time.
He's not altogether stable.
Well, he's a very honest
He's on the
man.
verge of a nervous breakdown.
Well, then, being in charge should do him some good, huh? Might even make a man of him. Hindle!
You're no longer considered to be reliable.
Really, am I not?
No.
And you're going to have to shoot me, aren't you? Because I have absolutely no intention of... No. It isn't possible.
You're all under arrest.
You have neither the power nor the right to arrest us.
You forget, I'm now in command. I have the power of life and death over all of you.
So, the good news is, I can pick up on more of this because we have seen it already.
Yes.
Because if this was our first time, and we hadn't watched it in 2019, I'd be so lost. It'd be exactly the same as the first time around.
Yeah, because now we understand, and again, I think someone said this in the comments, this script was written before they decided to bring Nyssa back. That's why they needed to get rid of her. So
Yeah.
now she's recuperating in the TARDIS. Tegan has fallen asleep or is under some kind of hypnotic spell out.
Yeah.
She's still out in the jungle forest, but she's having these visions, and we're not sure brought on by what, other than possibly the dangling chimes.
Oh, yeah.
Then you've got this uber 19th century British colonial, sergeant major, major general, whatever they call them, who's all bluster and circumstance and pomp and circumstance. And then you got the toady underling. You got the well-meaning scientist who, again, tends to get lost in all of this.
Oh, yeah.
And then you dump Adric and the Doctor and I guess it's just the two of them, isn't it? Yeah. Right.
But,
So yes, this it is a wonder this didn't make any sense 4 years ago, because we wouldn't have known any of that.
it is the ironic thing, because we got so many comments on Warriors Gate saying, well, you need to watch it multiple times to understand it. And I'm seeing that now with Kinda. Now, whether or not at the end of these 4 parts I'm going to say it's good, I don't know. Because again, the fact that it's now taking a second rewatch, and I'm really paying attention to everything. I'm trying to connect everything. I don't even know that I would have gotten that Todd was in control of the Kinda somehow. That I thought he was just, he's gone around the bend, But no, he does seem to have some telepathic power and stuff. And honestly, the Sanders, which I wrote, I don't know why I wrote down Corporal. I'm kind of just hoping he's a colonel, but I'm gonna doubt that he is. But that a Colonel Sanders would be funnier anyway. But
What's the matter, Colonel Sanders? Chicken?
yeah. So honestly, at first I was like, okay, so he's gonna be our typical, the guy in charge who doesn't care about anything. And while he is sort of that, it's just because he's standard British military man from the 19th century. So, even in some of these instances, it's like, no, he can be a little reasonable or just a little bit honest. It's like, oh, I never think twice about anything. It wastes too much time. It's like, okay, you said that, not me. So I don't know. So I at least understand that, and knowing at least now, having seen the episode the first time, knowing that, okay, the visions Tegan is having, poor Tegan, by the way, this is all too much for her, but knowing that these visions come from whatever the snake demon or whatever it is, okay, I get that, because otherwise, that it's so jarring. And you saw that in our first reaction, where you just cut to these two strange Victorian caricatures playing chess.
Actually, those are Elizabethan.
That too.
But, see, now here's the thing. You are actually remembering the snake demon from the first watch, because at this point, all we've seen is the snake tattoo.
Yes.
And there has been no connection other than the people are having these snake tattoos, and we don't know where those are coming from. It is now obvious that the two hostages have taken mind control over Hindle, but to what purpose? Again, we don't know. What was the purpose of the guy outside the window? We don't know.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of the gigantic robotic suit of armor? We don't know.
Yeah.
What happened to the guy inside it? We don't know. There's a whole bunch of questions so far that we literally, to this point, have no answers to.
Yeah. Because even some stuff that I'm thinking about from the first time we watched this is still I'm not even sure if I can make these proper connections. Okay, so maybe the guy outside the window gave the order to the two hostages to start messing with Todd, and that's why this is happening. But I'm not even sure if I can connect that to properly be what was being conveyed. And sure enough, again, first time, we didn't catch any of this. It was just the strangest thing.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing too, there's the whole idea, it's a bit complicated, because there are movies and shows where once you watch it again, you understand more of it. And honestly, we've just seen that through rewatching some of these episodes. We'll rewatch Genesis of the Daleks or something like that, and we understand it more. And it's like, oh, we can spot these new things. Or if we watch, the modern episodes, I catch things because I'm watching them again. But there is something to be said because there's a show I was trying to rewatch, and the first time around, I got through the whole thing. I was like, well, overall, it's okay. But the first season of it is really, really boring and really bad. And I tried rewatching and I was like, oh, this sucks. It's almost worse the second time around.
Yeah.
Even though I understand I know what's going to happen, therefore I dread what's going to happen, so I'd rather just skip ahead. So in the case of the argument, especially from what we got during Warriors Gate, where, you need to watch it multiple times, yes, on second watch, we are starting to understand more about Kinda. I hate that now it took 4 years to get an inkling of understanding on this episode in the rewatch, and I'm still not sure about it.
And several people have said they didn't really start doing reruns until right about this time, where they say they would run all 4 episodes in a week. So again, my contention as a playwright, as a director, as an actor, is if they're showing these as one-offs, Tuesday and Wednesday night, Monday, Tuesday night, whatever, and you're not going to be able to see them again for years until the rerun experience really kicks in.
Yeah.
Then it's not a good script, because if you can't understand the first time around, there's an old, and I can't even remember if it's actually an Einstein quote or not, but it says, if you can't explain something simply, you don't understand it yourself.
Yeah.
So whatever the writer was thinking he was doing here, it's not coming across in the presentation.
Yeah, so like you can't bank on, well, there'll be reruns and people will get it, or there'll be, the novelization and people will get, like, I don't know when the novelization started up, but I know that's how a lot of people, and honestly, and this is just my own theory, I'm sure, we'll get 1,000 comments of people saying, no, I was actually I liked the episode itself. But I swear, half of the people that really like some of these episodes liked the novelization. And fair enough. That's completely fine. But that's a novelization where you can spend as much time as you need to explain all of this. But if you can't put all of that into these 4 episodes, and you get 4 episodes of television to explain all of this, and you can't do that, that doesn't work. It's the same thing of, ironically, around the same time in the 80s, where you look back at old video games on NES, and a lot of them are just ridiculously hard. And it's like, well, man, they don't really make games so ridiculously hard like that anymore. I mean, they still make some, but not a lot. But then you realize, well, that's because back in the day, the context was, this is your game for the weekend. Or maybe even for, 6 months until your birthday or Christmas or whatever comes up. This is your video game. So there has to be a reason to replay that video game 10,000 times before this kid, saves up enough money to get another. So that's why. But now, most of that has changed, and, what we've kind of replaced now, we've replaced difficulty with just the longevity of the game. Games will last, up to 500 hours sometimes. I've got, 3 of those I'm trying to play right now, and it's ridiculous. But in terms of difficulty, they're not actually that difficult, because the times have changed. And now, there's someone writing for Doctor Who now, Russell T Davies, he's working on the new series, and he can write it in any way to where it's like, okay, I'll write this, but if I hide anything, it's going to get picked up on Twitter, on Tumblr, on Reddit in 5 minutes. And if it's not, someone will go in on, whatever streaming service they have, on Amazon or something, and they can go frame by frame and figure all this out in glorious 4K HD. But you don't have that luxury in the 80s especially. So here, it's if what you're banking on is, well, they'll understand Kinda someday. Someday may not come. At least you're not thinking of when that someday. It's not Back to the Future where it's like, but your kids will love it, So, short rant to say, yes, we understand this a little bit more. It just sucks that the first time around was so ridiculous. Especially when, again, Florida Doomsday was fine. I feel like if we had watched that, it still would have been a little jarring. But every time we watched a new Doctor, it was always a little bit jarring. But that was honestly a very decent introduction to the 5th Doctor. If we had watched that instead of this. So, okay. And we swear we won't rant about that, I think, for the rest of the episode.
And and again, this is just, how we always love to compare companions. We've only had Tegan for about 4 serials here now, 4 episodes.
Yeah.
She's not living up to that potential that they started her with. This woman who wants to travel and do all sorts of things. Now she's becoming, again, the put upon damsel in distress type.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this doctor, this female scientist here, and thinking, you ditch Tegan, you ditch Adric, and you take her along, and she would make again, because I think she's a foil. She is an educated, a well-educated, and somewhat good-humored foil for the Doctor.
It's very interesting that in such a short amount of time, because I knew we wouldn't really care for Adric. And especially just as we kept going with his episodes with the Fourth Doctor, I was like, okay, we're not going to really care about Adric. If he gets worse, he gets worse. But if he gets better, he gets better. But now, it's just so interesting to see that now that we have, all right, here are 3 companions for the remainder of season 19, it's like, okay, Nyssa is great. Nyssa is a really great companion, and she was an afterthought, as seen by the fact that she's not in this episode. Yeah. She was a complete afterthought in this, and it's like, all right, Tegan, for some reason, is still stuck in that, I don't understand what's happening, I want to go home. And I thought we were, gonna move past that, especially last episode, where it's like, okay, she really tried to get out of there, but now she's just gonna have to accept she's on the TARDIS until the TARDIS can land at home. She can't force it. I thought that was where we were going, but we're not really there in this episode. And half of that, yes, is because she's, with the Elizabethan chess players and the snake people and David Bowie and whatever. But other than that...
Yeah, and again, on First Watch, and again now, what in Tegan's past would cause her to dream of not just Elizabethan chess players and what appears to be some kind of Joker or Riddler type, but why are they in black and white?
The only thing I can think is because the chess pieces would be black and white. And because I realized, oh yeah, because Adric and Nyssa were playing chess at the beginning of the episode, so I guess that was the last thing that she saw before she was put to sleep by the chimes.
If that's true, then once again, that one line, when she looks and goes, oh, I've never cared for chess. It's too complicated for me, or, it's always bothered me because I can't think 5 moves ahead. Just something. All right, so now, all right, I kind of get that now.
Yeah.
But still, it's, as of the first episode, it's unexplained.
It's a bit of a leap going from, oh yeah, Adric and Nyssa were playing chess to determine, if Nyssa could concentrate or something because she's sick, to Tegan's having this weird acid trip where these they also weren't even really playing chess. They were playing alien chess. So these Elizabethan clowns were playing alien chess with snake tattoos, and it's like, okay, I feel like we missed a couple stops before we got to Crazy Town, but I guess we're here now. So
that's funny.
Anywho,
let's move on.
We got to get through this episode, so... I gotta admit, he looks a little bit like the Prospector from Toy Story 2 in that box.
Open it. Please, you must. We mean you no harm.
I'm not gonna say anything about the fact that she clearly talked to you. I guess his brain is a little busy at the moment.
Growth. Everywhere. At random, higgledy-piggledy, but to what purpose?
There's the clue.
He's gone round the bend.
Even the Doctor doesn't know what he's doing.
Stop.
He's gone round the bend, he has.
No.
Yes.
Adric?
Yes, of course. Can't you see it? He's got it right. He's absolutely right. The plants are the danger. I'd like to help you.
Step forward.
Okay, now he's gotta be playing him this time, right?
You must know I was thinking about eating ice cream.
Yes.
What do you mean, yes?
So was I. I was 3 years old and I didn't like the taste.
That's my memory.
And mine!
Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm schizophrenic and so am I.
What are we going to do? Think of something else. Anything else? What else? Quickly. Whalebones. Watches. Windmills. Wibber. Doesn't matter as long as we don't think it.
Oh, from Minecraft?
Don't think it!
When I was a boy, I was beaten every day. Never did me any harm.
Clearly.
Be the man I am. Look.
You understand gravity now.
Open it and see.
Open the box.
I don't think that would be very wise.
Open it.
Are you mad? We don't know what's in it.
Open it and find out.
It could be very dangerous.
Open it! Or I'll have you shot!
Don't, it could kill us.
I thought so. It is so good in.
It's still not an interesting episode.
Very slow moving.
I should say, and maybe I put this in the edit after the first episode, is that I was confusing Todd and Hindle's names. So, like, pretty much every time I said Todd, I meant Hindle. So,
All right, so what we got out of this is the Mara, the whatever the snake is representing, somehow was not in this dimension, not in this world, not in this time, something, but somehow managed to get Tegan to accept the Mara into her body, and then when she woke up, she transferred it to
Eris. Yeah.
And now Eris can speak and says something about, all things are possible.
Yes. It's interesting they talk about the Buddhist comparisons and stuff like that, when what I'm seeing is the Garden of Eden specifically, and the snake that tempts them out of it. So, which I'm sure there's, like, not to discredit, I'm sure there is still, Buddhist or Hindu overtones in this one, but that's also what I'm saying. I mean, it could be all three of them, probably. It's probably what the writer was thinking, but it does make me curious, like, how the chimes worked, because they just happened to, just walking through the forest, they were there, it put Tegan to sleep, and then she was possessed by the snake demon, the Mara. So is this not like a daily occurrence then, or do all the kin to know stay away from the 3 feet of chimes on that one tree? They're evil. I don't know. I'm not sure. Granted, then Eris went over to those and sat down. So I don't know. Yeah, and I'm trying to also remember, because there's also, the old lady.
What is she called? Like, I was assuming the medicine woman or the crone.
Well, I think she had a name. I think it was like Pana or something. Yeah. So it's interesting. So I guess the two of them must be Kinda, but they can talk. But she specifically is not telepathic then, because she needs the girl to tell her everything. And on top of that, she's also blind, clearly. So yeah, like I don't know. I can't remember like too much of like what they were doing or how they were a part of this. So I don't know. And then why? Because see, I guess there's the question, like, if the two Kinda hostages are the ones who are screwing with Hindle's mind, did they get the order from when Eris went and he was outside the window? Did he send that order to do that? But then, why would Eris send that order? Because he was not under any influence of the Mara, and he hadn't talked to Pana or the young girl. I don't know. We got 2 more parts, but it's not looking good on the front of this is a interesting story, a compelling story.
It's very slow.
It's very slow. And we understand it a bit more. It's still not amazing.
But again, the stock character of Sanders and the stock character of Hindle, now that he's gone round the bend,
Oh yeah.
do not serve, in my opinion, do not serve the story well. Because we've seen so many of this type that it, as regular viewers, it's now tending to turn us off. Now, granted, we saw a lot of these in the second Doctor's era.
Yeah.
So, this would have been 10, 15 years after that. But still, you look at that character and you just go, is that the way it's written? Is that the way the director directed it? Is that the actor? However, whatever the problem is there, it is so overdone that it's a turnoff.
You know what's hilarious? Watching the frustration on the Fifth Doctor's face. Because I don't know, I don't know how much of that is intentional. We kind of joked in the case of Adric, it's probably not intentional that he's doing that. I think that's just him generally being frustrated with Matthew Waterhouse. But even in some of that, because I see the same, frustrated face applied to Hindle, and I just sit there and think, now, is Davison frustrated because they're getting nowhere in the script, but now obviously he knows the script, or is he obviously acting out the Doctor's frustration? Because if it's also the Doctor's, then the Doctor is thinking, I should just, judo chop this guy down and go figure something out, So, I mean, yes, they have their obviously ridiculous-looking guns, but still, I don't know.
Well, he seemed to be playing a very passive part. I mean, he's been locked up for most of the first two episodes. He's not actually doing anything. And every time he tries to even say something, they shut him down.
Yeah, so...
Yes. It's shock. He'll be all right. Come on.
Where?
You're right. This is no planet of primitives. And the answer's out there. In the forest. Come on.
Leave the box!
Take the cannoli.
What about Andrew?
He'll be all right. He's very resourceful. Quickly!
Screw him.
So, where do we go from here?
Tell you what. Toss for it. Heads this way, tails that. Heads.
Tails.
Want to go that way? Well, then I'm going this way.
Sufficient to render the dome and its contents to their base chemical constituents. Phase 2. Well, don't you see? Well, then we'll be safe. Forever and ever. Outside will never get in. Don't you see?
So they're going to blow up the base?
I guess. It can't kill you if you're already dead.
Doctor?
Culturally non-hostile, didn't you say? Yes.
Well, he's not very good at that, is he?
Don't we? It's all quite simple, really. Just a matter of practice.
Stop!
Seize them. Seize the not we!
Oh,
I thought you said the Kinder had no
but
voice.
our politics were going so well.
Was he present when you opened the box?
Yes. Most enlightening.
What's he babbling about? No male can open the box of jhana without being driven out of his mind, it's well known. Unless...
That's a secret. He's already out of his
he an
mind.
idiot?
Are you an idiot?
Well, I suppose I must be. I have been called one.
Keep silent, idiot. The great wheel will begin to roll downhill, gathering speed through the centuries, crushing everything in its path. Unstoppable. Until... once again. Until... I must show you. That is why you have been brought here.
The Great Wheel is Buddhist
Then
imagery.
perhaps when you
Again, never would have caught that
understand,
first time
you'll go
around.
where he was in peace.
Did you recognize the laugh?
Aris,
No. The Mara within him.
the Mara caused all that to happen.
In a manner of speaking,
Was what we just saw the future or the past?
both. And now we must get back to the dome. Stop the attack.
Find our way through the forest!
Well, the old woman must direct us.
Doctor!
What?
I I think she's dead!
It's a little too much. Like, okay, I understand basic plot of demon on planet messing with colonists and native peoples. It's still a little wacky.
Okay, so what I don't understand is they're going to get the colonists to blow up their own dome. But that's also going to destroy everything within a 50-mile radius, which means it's going to wipe out the people as well. And if Aris is in that circumference, then he's going to die, and where will the Mara go after that? So, again, it's very confusing. It's still very confusing.
I mean, either the Mara will just return to its dimension, or Aris is strong enough now to survive it, or maybe they're not even thinking of... maybe, okay, I guess the difference is, does the Mara know that Hindle has set up this trap, basically? It could be that the Mara is just thinking, well, we're going to go kill the Not We, and then I guess that's the extent of his plan. I don't know, like, because I'm not really sure, like, is he going to do something else? Is he, like, I guess he's conquered the Kinda, so once he kills the Not We, he hasn't gotten that far in his plan. But what the Mara doesn't know is that Hindle has set up this bomb, so if anything tries to come in, the whole thing explodes, which presumably then would destroy the Mara as well. So it's a problem of they're just going to kill each other. You know, okay. The problem is Adric is in the middle of all of that, and the rest of the Kinda will be dragged into the Mara's fight. So that's the main thing, is stopping the Mara from attacking, and then hoping that Adric can disable the bomb, I guess, or Hindle will stop losing his mind.
If he opens the box. And I don't remember if he does or not.
Yeah. So I guess, yeah, if maybe if Hindle opens the box, you know, it'll pacify him, I guess, so.
Yeah, I'm not having any real better vibes this time around than the first time around.
Yeah, it's like I know more, I understand more of what's happening than last time. It's still not a terribly interesting episode, so.
Let's go and help him!
We can't!
Man, going after the comedian. This is all because Will Smith slapped Chris Rock. This is the only reason this is happening.
Anna's dead.
Idiot. Don't you know anything? Of course I'm not dead.
Long live Panna.
That's gonna hurt.
No. Yes, branches. That's how you can take down that heavily fortified dome.
Gonna burn it to the ground.
Nah.
But how? It is our way. The vision of
This
the
is the
king,
way.
was it real or not?
Well, did you see it?
Yes,
Well,
but...
so did I.
Look, stop it, both of you. I'm trying to understand. I'm sorry.
That's your problem. You cannot understand this episode.
Do you think they'll be happy? I've done my best for them, haven't I?
Of course you have, son. He has, hasn't he?
I have, haven't I? My very best ever.
This elevator doesn't go to the top floor.
I'm honestly starting to wonder if the Kinda did anything to him.
I had the strangest dream.
Dream?
Yes.
What dream?
Dreams are private.
Now, come on, Tegan, you must tell me.
No!
You've been asleep for nearly 2 days.
What? What's going on?
Has it been 2 days? There hasn't been a nighttime here.
Not now, Tegan.
put him in the Iron Maiden. Excellent.
Listen to me!
A little less than iron there.
Now we have a guardian just as the knot we have. Our attack cannot fail. The knot we must be driven out and their dome destroyed.
You listening?
So it's the equivalent of Fred Flintstone's car.
I could dismantle it.
Don't touch it. Leave it alone. Even if you could, there must be others. That one alone couldn't cause the damage you described.
We must do something.
Yes, but fiddling with that won't help.
Oh, I just feel so useless.
So do I. There's nothing we can do except wait.
Oh, come on, Doctor!
Oh, if only Nissa was here.
I'd rather know how you control the Kinder.
Oh, that's very simple. With this. They're very primitive, you know. They think I've captured their souls.
Mirrors. It's very clever.
Do you think so?
Of course, it's all your fault.
What?
Well, of course it is.
What are you talking about?
Well, if you hadn't fallen asleep and had that stupid dream,
I was possessed. My mind was taken over by the Mara. How was that my fault?
it found a weakness and it used it.
What's that supposed to mean?
Well, it would seem to prove that some of us have more control over our minds than others.
Oh, like you, I suppose, out there in that machine.
That was different.
I was gonna say, she also has control of her hand, which is about to slap you.
When the doctor interfered. Solar generator panels.
Where?
In the storeroom.
Show me.
Doctor!
What is the one thing evil cannot face? Not ever.
What?
Itself.
But you said the Kinder would react to the mirror. They aren't evil.
Ah, Hindle captured their innocence. The Mara will rebel. They cannot face themselves. Don't you see?
No.
I frankly don't.
I may have mentioned this before, but the Circle of Mirrors is a device used in the world-famous novel Don Quixote. When Don Quixote is forced to look at himself in the mirror, he realizes he's not a knight-errant, but a crazy old man.
Now, get ready to pull Harris clear the moment the snake leaves his arm.
I bet they really took care not to get the camera in shot.
It's fantastic. Where does it draw its energy from? It's incredible.
Oh, we did not get the updated version. That is still the goofy little puppet.
You're not tempted by paradise.
It's all right at first, but it's all a bit too green for me.
Doctor!
Yes, one moment.
Oh, good, Nissa.
Don't.
I think paradise is a little too green for me as well.
Alrighty, we have finally rewatched Kinda, 4 years in the making.
And all of the action was in the 4th episode.
Yeah.
And again, the snake didn't even bother me now that I understood what it was for.
It looks like a good snake. It's just, it's very obvious it's a giant puppet, basically. But, okay, now having seen 18 previous seasons of this show, it's not the worst monster we've ever seen.
No.
So.
But to quote an old Monty Python sketch, my brain hurts. That's, I mean...
It's still not good.
I understand if I had watched it 2 nights in a row, which I think is what the production schedule was, as an adult. But again, this is a show that was primarily for young people, all right? I was their target audience in 1963. Now, granted, I would have been, in my late 30s, early 40s by this time. I still wouldn't have understood this.
Well,
it's just, it's too esoteric. It requires a knowledge of things beyond the average. All right, again, I've studied the beginnings of all the major religions in the world. If someone hadn't told me that was about Hinduism or Buddhism or whatever, and again, just barely catch the Christian imagery in it. The paradise, the apples, and all that sort of stuff. the first time through, I wouldn't have been looking for that. If someone said, "Oh, by the way, did you?" Then I would go back. Oh, okay, now I see it. The apple and the, but no, it's, not to insult anybody, particularly myself, but I don't think I would have understood that then. I don't understand it now. I wouldn't have understood it then.
And the thing is, you didn't understand it then, because 4 years ago when we watched this, you didn't understand it.
No.
And even still, like, going through now, I thought I was getting more of this, but then the realization is like, because I thought, okay, the Kinda are clearly affecting Hindle, which is why all of this is happening, but it wasn't. He just went crazy, and somehow the mirrors allowed him to have some sort of a telepathic link to the two Kinda that were there.
Now, that's a very common trope. A lot of primitive cultures don't like their picture being taken either because they think you're stealing their soul from them. At least that's I have no idea if that's actually true, but for at least the past 60, 70 years, that has been one of the basis of the civilized people meeting the uncivilized people.
Yeah, so...
And by uncivilized, I mean not people who don't have urbanization or a system of education or government and specialization, things like that.
Yeah, so because that was the thing, was I thought there was that scene where Eris comes over, he's in the window. I thought he sent a telepathic order to the two hostages to start messing with Hindle. Apparently not. He was just over there, just hanging out. He does that every so often. And somehow... Well, Hindle was already on his way to Looney Town, basically. Which I guess that's it just from being in this place for too long. The mothership only comes once every 6 seasons or so. Yeah. So he's stayed there so ridiculously long that he's already lost his mind by the time you meet him. And somehow the mirror has given him control over the two Kinda hostages. But none of that really relates to the plot. Like, nothing Hindle does. Like, Hindle honestly seems like... That whole thing seems like something for Adric to do. Because they were like, you know what? We already don't have Nyssa. We don't have Tegan through most of this episode. Adric doesn't do a lot. And yet, despite the three of them barely doing anything, I feel like the Doctor doesn't do a lot of things either. He's just kind of along for the ride. Now, you said, he isn't very active in this episode. A part of it, I do think, is he's not allowed to be active. Just every situation he's in, he's not allowed to be active until the ending. And so that's the problem, is like, I feel like the Fifth Doctor could be an active Doctor, Yeah. But... And it's also... I guess you could then say that maybe that's a problem with the Fifth Doctor, is... I don't want to call him a pushover, but he's not as, maybe commanding, like... being shut down left and right in this episode, I cannot see that happening to Tom Baker. Because the Fourth Doctor was such this ridiculous, larger-than-life presence that he could never be held down so much like that, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think that may have to do with our perception of him simply because of the 5 Doctors we've seen so far, he's definitely the youngest. Now, I don't know, he's probably roughly the same age as Tom Baker was when Baker started, but yeah. He appears very young. He's certainly, since at least Hartnell and maybe Troughton, the least imposing of a figure. I mean, let's face it, Tom Baker and John Pertwee, very tall, very imposing men, but also their personalities. He so far has, he's not a weak personality, but he's not an assertive personality. Yeah. Even, we always talked about how we thought Troughton was too passive. But Hartnell, the grumpy professor, and, the James Bond Pertwee, and the Sherlock Holmes Tom Baker, and this guy, I'm not sure, again, if if he's figured out what he wants to be, or if simply he's going with what the writers have given him, and it's not gelling into the personality that he will turn out to be. Because doesn't he last for several seasons?
Yeah, at least a couple. He may only last like 3 seasons, I think. Because I think when he took over, I think he actually got like advice from Patrick Troughton that was like, maybe only do 3. You know, do 3, you'll have a good run and be done. Because especially after Tom Baker had 7 years on the show, it's like, you know, don't. I mean, you can go further because Pertwee also went further. He had about 4 seasons, but it's like, but a good solid 3, which is kind of actually where all the modern Doctors kind of land as well. So yeah, and I think at the time, I think Peter Davison was 29 when he took the role. So he was the youngest Doctor until Matt Smith, who was 25 when he took the role of the Doctor. So yeah, it's like there's not much of that commanding presence. He's not very assertive yet. And yeah, half of it I do put on the situation of like he's not, you know, he's being, you know, put in a cage or being put down left, right, but he doesn't break free from that, you know? So, but then overall, it's also just down to the fact that it's not a very good episode, you know? And yeah, just now realizing that it's like this whole subplot with Hindle is just kind of happening with no real influence from the Mara. Like, he's not being driven mad by the Mara, who has this whole plan of breaking free. The Mara's plan is terrible, by the way, which is, we're going to attack the dome with a wooden box. And that's it. That's it. He's going to kill the Not-We. He doesn't know how he's going to kill the Not-We. And especially if they had gotten past the, you know, the robot box thing, he would have gone in there and Hindle would have just blown up them and all the Kinda, and that would have been the end of that. So the Mara doesn't even have a great plan. Yeah, and honestly, the Mara feels like, you know, this great supernatural force that the Master would try to unleash, and the plan doesn't make sense because it's the Master. But it also works because it's the Master and he's just, you know, charming and interesting and everything. But leaving it just to the Mara, they're not a strong enough villain. And especially when you just realize there's no plan here. Like, he doesn't have a plan other than, we'll kill the Not-We. Well, then all of their people are going to come and wipe us out. I don't think about that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, I guess.
Burn that bridge when we get there, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again, apologies to the fandom, but again, this is a thumbs down for me.
Yeah, I at least understand more of what's happening than the last time we did this, but I still, I just don't get it, you know? And I think it would be the same thing if we rewatch some episodes, because, I mean, that's the thing, for, what is it now, years since we did, like, Power of the Daleks or something like that, we've had some people saying, like, well, if you watch it again, then you'll maybe understand it a bit more. And I just think, even if I understand it again, if I understand what's happening a bit more, that does not guarantee I'm going to like it more. And I don't really want to put out another video bashing on the same episode, like basically putting out a video not moving forward at any point. And this one, at the very least, the good thing with, you know, rewatching it is we do understand it a bit more, but we still don't like it.
Yeah.
And the only reason we're rewatching it is because we have gotten to this point, you know, going through all the episodes. But especially now, we're definitely not going to go back to Power of the Daleks, to Warriors Gator, and we're not going to go back to those episodes now, because there's not going to be a point we're still not going to like those episodes, even if we understand them more. And so that's like the biggest takeaway is we finally watch Kinda, we finally get it, we don't like it, so
no big deal.
Yeah, I don't know, so we'll move on. And yeah, other stuff this episode, I don't know, how long have we been talking? We're actually running a little later than normal, but I think that's just because we kept talking after part 1. So I don't know. Again, why did the Mara give Tegan visions of Elizabethan caricatures playing chess in order to possess her? Like, I'm not sure. Man, also just the fact when Adric is just like going off on like, oh, the Mara found the weak link and used you, so it's all your fault. And it's like, Adric, you're about to find the weakness in the backside of her hand, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
now, for those people who are talking about the imagery of the East Asian religions here, why not use Asian characters? Why Elizabethan England playing chess when they could have, because chess supposedly originated in Asia or India somewhere? Why not put that imagery in there to maybe help guide where the author's trying to get us to go? Because that particular choice literally not only made no sense, it threw us off the track so far that we didn't understand where it was supposed to be taking us.
Well, and also too, why Elizabethan England when she's Australian? Like, I don't know how much imagery, you know, unless it was a kangaroo and an emu playing chess. You know, I don't know how much imagery you'll get in Australia. I'm sure they have some. Or maybe, you know, what about those Aborigine folks from the last episode? Bring them back, you know? So, I don't know. Like, that's just such a strange thing, you know? And then Adric. And, okay, to the slight credit of Matthew Waterhouse, the scripts do him no favors. Because, like, it's not just him who's not that great of an actor anyway, but also just the fact that Adric is written as a terrible character, and he's being written worse now with the Fifth Doctor than he ever was with the Fourth Doctor, you know? Yeah. So, and with the Fourth Doctor, it did slightly help that he was kind of the dumbest of the group, because you have the Doctor who's, you know, got all of his knowledge, you had Romana, you even had K9, and generally all of them were smarter. So Adric kind of fit into a role of like, yes, he's smart, he can be clever and stuff like that, but he's not the best person you have there. Now that he's the senior companion in the group, he's definitely got too big a head, and he thinks he's smarter than everyone. And to an extent, yes, okay, he's better with mathematics and stuff than Tegan. But I'm missing pretty much what we had last episode, which is Nyssa clearly being the smartest of the three of them, far smarter than Adric, and kind of putting him down because of it, you know? Like, that's kind of it, is that we always need somebody to put Adric down. And if it's not the Doctor or Nyssa, you don't have anyone left. So that's part of it, is that the writing does not help Adric. I guess I understood the box a little bit more, that it was a healing device. I want to also say that last time we did this, we probably didn't have subtitles, so that probably also helped understanding a bit more. So,
and again, the subtitles spelled it Jhana, the box of Jhana, and again, that may be some kind of iconography or some kind of reference to the Eastern religions that we are not aware of. But even now that we've heard it, and we know, okay, now we know that's part of, you know, Asian philosophy or whatever, it still doesn't help us. You know, is there a box of enlightenment? I mean, the Buddha gives you the Eightfold Path to enlightenment. You know, here are the four basic truths, and here's the Eightfold Way. Any of that, talking about the wheel turning, that was, you know, yes, it's all happening. I mean, that again, that also goes back to Ecclesiastes. There's nothing new under the sun. To everything there is a season. You know, I get all of that, but again, for the average person watching this in 1981, I would have thought they would probably have been just as mystified as we are.
Yeah. You know, you'd probably also think, couldn't you use the box to heal Eris? Like, maybe that's the thing they do, is that they use the box. maybe because the box seems to be the only invention the Kinda have, like that and the chimes. The chimes, which are really great for sharing, dreams and everything, but they're also really dangerous because they could unleash a demon at any point if you're not really careful. So, risk reward.
And, where's the sign?
Yeah.
Please don't sleep alone under the wind chimes because you'll cause the destruction of our universe. That would be helpful.
And none of... Wait, what happened to the other officers? All the other officers that had gone missing, Roberts and the rest, what happened to them? Did they fall asleep under the chimes, but they didn't get possessed by the Mara, but Tegan did somehow? Or... Yeah, what happened to them? Wait a minute.
Yes, there's another massive plot point.
Yeah, alright. Okay, so, what do we got next? Next up, we have The Visitation. Pretty nice, sweet, good title. And you don't have to worry about missaying it. Because I do remember we were originally saying kinda instead of kinda. I guess part of that, I don't know, did the British have like kinda or kind of shortened to kinda in their sort of vocabulary? That could just be more of an American dialect thing.
Yeah.
So that's probably why we thought of that. So, but yeah, but I'm looking forward to something else because the good news is the first 2 episodes of the season were good. Castrovalva, a little jumbled, but it was overall pretty good. Forward to Doomsday, I thought was good as well. So, and we know at the end of the season we're getting Earthshock, and that is a good episode. So that's at least something. And now, well, I was gonna say we never have to hear about it again. We never have to hear about Kinda again. But in 2 weeks, we're gonna hear all the comments. So, but that's okay. Tell us how we're wrong. It's good for the algorithm. He'll read the comments. I'll pretend that I did. So. With all that being said, we're Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around any of those. There's a playlist for all of our Doctor Who Classic reactions, or maybe the original reaction we did. I don't know, I'll figure something out. As well as something else on screen that will take you to a reaction, I don't know. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button. Those are definite, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.